What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package updates, stimulus check updates, daily news, everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you're new to our YouTube channel, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country. And if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about here. We have an interview with Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal, who's the leader of the Democratic Progressive Caucus. She's the leader of about half the Democrats in the House of Representatives. She's going to talk about the stimulus package going forward, the Build Back Better package, multiple different things here going forward, as well as Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene just got her Twitter account suspended for COVID misinformation. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about here, so let's jump right in. Here is Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal.
Twitter has suspended Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene permanently her personal Twitter account. Here's the statement from the Twitter spokesperson. Quote, "We permanently suspended the account you referenced at MTG Green E for repeated violations of our COVID-19 misinformation policy. We've been clear that per our strike system for this policy, we will permanently suspend accounts for repeated violations of the policy." And not to, remain silent, Congresswoman Greene put out her own statement. It was a long one, lots of conspiracy theories and craziness, but this is the key line. "That's fine. I'll show America we don't need them, and it's time to defeat our enemies." Your reaction to this news here?
Well, Jonathan, it's no secret that our social media companies have been part of their algorithms promoting disinformation. And I think that these steps are important, but frankly, a little too little and a little too late.
Yeah, so Marjorie Taylor Greene, a controversial Republican from the House of Representatives, gets her Twitter account banned. And let me know your thoughts on this going forward here. And a lot of people will say this is freedom of speech, but a lot of people will say she's had a lot of strikes. She's had a lot of chances and has repeatedly done this. She had been removed from her House of Representative committee assignments earlier in the year, back in February. So she has been very controversial and been reprimanded before as well for multiple different things on several occasions here. Let me know your thoughts here down below in the comments.
Let's talk about Build Back Better. As I said in the intro, Congress comes back. Build Back Better, at least trying to get it reworked into the president's desk, is on the agenda. You wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post a week ago today, laying down a marker. I want to have you listen to what Congressman Ro Khanna, also of the Congressional Progressive Caucus of California, had to say when I asked him about the future of Build Back Better. Have a listen.
Do I think it's going to be the bill that we voted out of the House? No. Do I think it's going to be the exact framework that President Biden had? No. I'm a realist. And here's the point. We in the House stand ready to compromise. We want to get something done. So what we need the 50 senators to tell us is, what are you for? And the president and the House will work to getting something done in a compromise that is necessary for the American public.
And Congresswoman Jayapal, what I took from Congressman Khanna's statement there is that we stand ready to compromise, and that the bill, a new Build Back Better, won't look like what we've been talking about for months now. So from your vantage point, what absolutely needs to be in the new version of Build Back Better?
Well, Jonathan, the thing that I tried to lay out in the op-ed was the process that got us to where we are, which included an agreement from Senators Manchin and Sinema and the president and that the Progressive Caucus endorsed, what we're calling the framework that the president laid out before he went to COP26. And it had the critical priorities, not as big as we would want, not as many as we would want, but it had the critical priorities of the care economy. That's child care, it's pre-K, universal pre-K, elder care. Those were all things that Senator Manchin agreed to. In addition, housing, he agreed to that. These are things I've spoken to him about as well, by the way. He also agreed to the provisions around climate change. Those were already negotiated from what we had originally wanted, but a significant investment in really taking on climate and reducing carbon emissions. That was absolutely critical. He agreed to healthcare, some pieces of healthcare to strengthen the ability for people to get healthcare, particularly important now during Omicron. These were all pieces that he actually agreed to. In my conversations with him as well, he supported. And my belief is that we can still get that done. And so the call now is to do two things. One, work very quickly to actually get that legislation passed. It's urgent, along with voting rights. Those two pieces absolutely urgent on the legislative calendar. And then the second is, because we don't know how long that piece is going to take, there are executive actions that the president can take today to actually make life better for people and to, let's say, up the ante a little bit to make sure that we do get legislation done, because the other path has to be executive action. So I think we will be rolling out our list of things that we want the president to work on. He began that by saying that he was going to put a pause on student debt, extend that pause beyond the original date. That's good, but we would like him to cancel student debt. We'd like him to take some aggressive actions.
Yeah, so multiple different things there. We have Pramila Jayapal here, the leader of the Progressive Caucus, urging President Biden to use executive action or executive orders to pass pieces or parts of either the Build Back Better package or stimulus packages, stimulus parts, possibly stimulus checks going forward here. We'll have to see what they actually intend on doing or what that actually ends up being here going forward. Pramila Jayapal seems to think that they can do this. Remember that former President Donald Trump did pass 6 weeks of $300 per week checks to millions of Americans for a total of $1,800 to millions of Americans through executive order. And we have right now somewhere between 500 to 800 billion dollars of stimulus money that is already approved by Congress that could be reappropriated and sent out to Americans. Last time they sent it out to unemployed Americans. This time they could send it out to unemployed Americans, low income Americans, seniors. They could send it out for child tax credits. They could send it out for anything they want. It's already been approved by Congress for past stimulus money and could be reappropriated through executive action. So remember, former President Donald Trump did this. And if former President Donald Trump did this, you would think Biden could do this as well through executive action or executive order. It could be challenged in court by the Republicans if Biden did it. But the Democrats didn't challenge it in court when Trump did it, because I thought they would lose a lot of votes if you try to take money directly out of people's pockets, millions of people. And the Democrats chose not to challenge it when Trump did it. I don't know if the Republicans would try to challenge it if Biden did it. And, well, we'll have to see if this happens here. Pramila Jayapal is calling on the president to do executive actions or to try to pass multiple different things here going forward, whether that includes Joe Manchin or there's a couple different options here with Republicans. Republicans are for, there's a couple different Republicans for the child tax credits. Mitt Romney and a couple other Republican senators, they may have to change a few things to get that done. And we actually have a couple different Republicans calling for stimulus measures here as well because of how bad the virus is right now. We actually have several different state governors calling for emergency virus relief as well. So it'll be interesting to see because, I mean, the virus is at all-time highs right now. So It'll be interesting to see. Congress comes back tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of information coming out here this week and to see what needs to be done here.
So you said just now that you believe we can still get that done, meaning the framework that you laid out there. But I'm still sitting here thinking, how are you going to get that done when the guy you were negotiating with and who you say agreed to all these things said that he, quote, just can't?
Well, he said he just can't do the bill that we passed out of the House, which look, you know how I feel about this. I've told Senator Manchin directly. As somebody, I certainly respect him, and he represents a state where not a lot of Democrats win, and so I respect that he has a very different view of this. But he said he couldn't do the bill that we passed through the House, and as you remember, we added some things that were not in the framework. And so what we hope now, and what I know the president is working on with Senator Manchin, is to go back to the original framework that he committed to. There were only a few things, that maybe 10% of the bill, that was not what he committed to. And I think that it was unfortunate that he, announced on national television that he was essentially killing the bill, because there was a little bit that he hadn't agreed to. But let's go back to the table. Let's get this done. It is too important for us, particularly as Omicron surges. And we have these clouds over us, Jonathan, the clouds of the economic uncertainty because of COVID, and of course, the enormous cloud of our democracy that is in front of us. Joe Biden, Democrats need to succeed in helping Americans to see that we can get stuff done, and that we are going to make their lives better, and that we are going to protect our democracy. That is the most important thing.
Congresswoman, have you spoken to Senator Manchin since he blew things up?
I spoke to him the day after his conversation on Fox News. He called me and we spoke then. I have not spoken to him since that time, but I am always happy to speak to him and think about how we get it back to that original framework. Jonathan, I do have to say that as much as we are pushing hard on these fronts and we haven't yet reached the finish line, I want to remind people that under President Biden and with the democratically controlled House and Senate, we have, this time last year, we had over 800,000 unemployment claims. That has declined by 75%, and we've created 6 million new jobs in just 1 year under President Biden. And COVID is nowhere near where it was in terms of people being vaccinated, people wearing masks, and of course we have the surge. We've got to take care of it. But I don't want people to forget how much we've done with the American Rescue Plan and with President Biden's leadership. That is really important. Now we've got to cross the finish line on these other pieces.
One more question real quickly, Congresswoman, and that is this. If a Build Back Better bill comes out of the Senate that just has child tax credit, universal pre-K, these are fully funded, not partially funded, but fully funded, and say elder care, those three things, only those three things fully funded, would that be acceptable?
Well, let's not go down that line yet, because as I said, these other pieces we're also committed to. So let's figure out what of those things can get done. But Jonathan, let's also remember that universal pre-K, elder care, child tax credit, each one of these things on their own is also significant. But I'm not quite ready to negotiate with ourselves. I want to have a person that we're negotiating with to get it over the finish line. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
So yeah, what they were mentioning a little bit about a minute or two ago into the video is that Senator Manchin signed a piece of paper, signed an agreement, signed a document. This was back right before they passed the physical infrastructure bill in the House and the Senate, and the president signed it. A lot of progressive Democrats think that this was now a mistake. Okay. But they have an agreement signed by Senator Joe Manchin. Now, how much weight this will hold, we'll have to see here. But Pramila Jayapal mentioned it there, that Joe Manchin has signed this agreement that he would pass the Build Back Better Act with this list of items on this agreement. Okay. So they have tried to negotiate up from there, and Joe Manchin said that he can't pass it with that, and that's the kind of the big news that kind of happened from there. Since then, Manchin has talked with Joe Manchin, or Manchin has talked with Biden, Joe with Joe since then. But Pramila Jayapal says, wait a minute, we have this agreement with Joe Manchin that he has agreed and signed it with this Build Back Better agreement. Okay. And he's got his signature on there and everything. So, how much that's worth, how much his word is worth, well, maybe we'll see here. So, they're going to go back to maybe that agreement and potentially see what that's worth. Now, whether that's a legal binding document, whether that's just his word, we will have to see. So that'll be interesting to see here whether they. Now, the other interesting thing there is how much they can modify that. They, remember, they have another stimulus package they're pushing for now with actually some Republican support. Basically, they're calling it stimulus, COVID relief, emergency virus relief, pandemic relief because of how bad the virus are. And there's a lot of different ways forward here. There's a lot of different paths forward. There's a lot of different options forwards. We have the virus, pandemic relief. We have the child tax credits, which could be passed on its own because there's Republicans that support it as well, although they may have to make changes. There's stimulus checks being called for by millions of Americans because of inflation, because of how bad the economy is, because of how bad the virus is. Remember, it's a K-shaped economy. Not everybody's doing bad, but low-income people are doing bad. People on fixed income are doing bad, and people that are affected by inflation are doing bad. People that are affected by the pandemic are doing bad. People that are out. I mean, there's millions of people that have just tested positive right now and are missing their own paycheck, can't go to work. Those are the people that are affected badly right now because of the pandemic, right? And people that literally can't afford to miss one paycheck or two paychecks. And if you think about one of the items in the Build Back Better package is paid family and medical leave, where the government would pay for your paycheck if you have an illness like a pandemic, right, that we're dealing with right now. In fact, we are the only first world country to not have paid family and medical leave. We're the only first world country to not have that on a national level. Yet we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world. We're the only first world country to not offer that. And you think about the millions and millions of women that go to work and get pregnant and have a baby, and if their job doesn't offer paid family medical leave, and they have to go back to work on Monday, like what are they supposed to do if their job doesn't offer paid family medical leave? It's just one of the things in the bill that it's kind of like, why don't we offer this if all other first world countries offer this? Now, some employers offer this, large corporations offer this, but what if you don't work at a large corporation? What if you work at a local mom and pop shop? Yeah, so there's a lot of things here that are kind of under consideration. Of course, we know the child tax credits, those monthly checks going out to 60 million people. The last monthly check just went out in December 15th. There's not going to be a January 15th monthly check. And we know that those monthly checks helped bring out millions of children out of childhood poverty. There's not going to be a January 15th check. And we know that approximately 50% of that money goes to food for children, and there's not going to be a January 15th check. So, a lot of different things going on here in play. Congress comes back tomorrow, or if you're watching this in the morning, today, if it's Monday already and you're watching this. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done here. We got a lot of things in play. Stimulus checks for adults, possibly. Child tax credits, possibly to be extended. Stimulus packages. There's a couple different ones being talked about. And a new year, a new start. And remember, our resolution here as a community here is be kind and be positive. I think that's something that we all can achieve here in 2022. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date with everything going on here for 2022. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. All you need to do is click subscribe. If you haven't yet, it's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss any videos. I'll keep you up to date with everything. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to watch my newest video on Social Security raises and minimum wage raises that just happened. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.